Hi, welcome to Garden House Studio. This is part 2 of our stamping series, and today we are going to be stamping on fabric. And this is a bag that I made earlier, which is kind of like a shopping bag. In Vermont, they are banning plastic bags, so pretty soon everyone's going to need a lot more shoppers. So today we're going to be stamping on shopping bags. So this particular bag is stamped with our labels stamp. You can see they're all food labels, which makes it kind of very appropriate to use as a shopping bag. These bags were gifted to me, so I have no idea where they came from, but they're a super simple canvas bag that's perfect for stamping. So I stamped them with black ink. It's a very off-white canvas. It's pretty rough, so you can see some of the designs do not come out as clear just because the fabric is rough, and because it's off-white they come out a little grayish. So the second bag that I'm going to be stamping today is this one, and I want to stamp on this Eat Fresh. I stamped in a custom kitchen for someone last year, and they had me stamp on the wall. It was actually a house they were refurbishing to do Airbnb, and they had me stamp on the walls Eat Fresh, and I always thought that was just so great, and I said, wow, that would be perfect for this bag, this shopping bag. So what I just did is I put this foam core board in between the layers if I'm doing a pillow or if I'm doing a bag or anything that is fabric that has 2 layers, so that I have something to stamp against, but also so that it's nice and flat. And the third reason is so that the ink does not go through to the bottom layer, which is not going to happen with this piece because this is canvas and it is pretty thick. So let's get started. So I have a thin mount which I have cut, and I do not have the thin mounts with the lines on them. So I just kind of have to eye it as far as making it exactly straight. So I am going to do my E, A, and T. And I apologize for the heater going in the background. I am in Vermont. It's pretty cold still. It's just February, and we did get 4 inches of snow last night, so it's a little cold. Okay, I'm gonna eye this for centering it also, because I can see right where the straps are, and I know that's approximately the middle of the bag, but I can also feel that that is not all the way up. Okay, so now that you have to make sure your stamps and your thin mount is clean if you want them to stick, and that's especially important when you're stamping on fabric, because if it falls off and gets on your fabric, gets a little ink or an ink smudge, you're not going to be able to get it off. So we're going to use black, like I said. So I'm going to stamp this away from my fabric because I do not want to get any ink anywhere that I'm not intending. Because it's fabric, you want to get quite a bit of ink on there. So I'm just tapping this. You're probably hearing the tapping anyway, but I'm not pressing it in. And the reason being is I do not want to have ink down along the margins. Every stamp has to have margins, the little spaces that where it is not raised up to make your letter. And what you want to do is you want to go and you want to make sure that any ink that is on those margins, that you take it off before you put it on your fabric. At least I do. I want it to kind of look, I want it to look perfect. One of my idiosyncrasies. Okay, I think I got almost all of the extra little pieces. So I am going to put this, like I said, in the middle of that handle. one time, get it down, commit to it, and then I am going to tap on it to get it to, I would think the ink would really want to go into the fabric because fabric's pretty absorbent. These bags are 100% cotton, which is a recommended fabric, natural fabric for your stamping with this ink. I kind of like to go over all these the little narrow, like the ends of the letters, because sometimes you just don't get the tips. They don't look quite as perfect. Most of these designs are just amazing. So, and I'm not pushing so much pressure that I would be flattening the stamp out. You don't want to be doing that because that will distort the stamp. Okay, I'm going to hold up my hand down here to keep it really tight so it doesn't move, and I'm going to take a peek and see how we did. Looks like we did good. Very well. Actually, I might put a little more. I would have probably stamped it a little more, but lift it straight up, and there is our eat. You don't see any little places where the letters didn't come out. Came out really nice. Okay, I'm going to move that piece of foam board down a little bit. My table's really uneven too, so I have to, it's just logs to put together. I have to kind of make sure I have something under it all the time. Okay, so now we need fresh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my baby wipe, and I really like my stamps to stay as clean as possible. Mostly because they adhere really well, but the other reason is I want them to be clean when I go to use them so that I get a really nice imprint. Okay, so we need our E again, so I'm going to keep that over here. So I just cleaned that off. It dries within seconds. And then I'm going to get my straight side, and I'm going to do my F for fresh. And like I said, I'm just eyeing this. I'm trying to get it as straight up against the top as I can so that it's even. Now I know some people might do both. Eat fresh, put it on one piece of one thin mount, and then go back and use put the letter that they needed to use twice. I really like to do one at a time. I feel that I get a better stamped image if I have less to stamp and less to worry about. F-R-E-S-H, fresh. Okay, the other reason I really like to get these clean is because I want to lay it out and see how it looks on my piece first. So I certainly do not want to have any ink on it. So this looks like it is much favoring that side, but it is a shopper and no one is going to notice. It is that H? Okay, I'm going to ink it up. Make sure I have my, and here we are with the black ink again, and I keep my ink pads covered while I'm working. The reason being is sometimes my bag will hit into the ink pad, my hand will hit on it, and I'll get ink everywhere. I guess I'm not the neatest, but so if you cover it right back up, you don't have to worry about that. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of our farm animals on the bottom of this. Nice and black ink. Let's see if we got any on the letters. Here's a little up here on the H, just a little tiny bit, but it will make it kind of look like you smudged it, and you don't want to smudge it. Okay, let's see how this one comes out. I'm always worried that I'm going to spell something wrong and I'm not going to know till it's too late. There we go. Commit and press. You can't move these. Once you have it down, you have to keep it where it is. So if it's a little askew, a little off center, it just is. I made this big sign once and I was just so happy with it, and I gave it to one of my children, and I didn't notice till I went to their house once and they had it up on the wall that I had the S upside down, and I said, oh well, no one noticed but me until it was up on the wall, and then every time I see it I remember. I'm like, I guess that's okay. No one will notice but you, because you know how perfect you're trying to get it. And I would say that is one of the biggest things when stamping on fabric, is just to make sure that you have all of the margins cleaned up before you put it down. All right, we're going to lift it a little bit just to see how we did. This moved again. Moved slightly. Okay. There you go. Eat fresh. It's perfect for a shopper. Now, in order to do the animal down the bottom, I'm going to have to pull the bottom of this out, because you don't want to be going over double layers inside. It kind of will make it have a big, and I think I'm going to just go ahead and put the cow down there. We have 4 or 5 animals on our farmyard, but I think the cow is just the perfect size to put at the bottom of this bag. My next video, which is going to be the second part of this video, is I'm going to be stamping on the front of a piece of fabric, which is actually a pillow face, which I'm later on going to make into a pillow, and I'm going to show you how I stamp on that. And that is going to be stamped on muslin, which actually is a little easier to do than this canvas, because it's just not so thick. This is really thick, so you really have to push down to get that indentation. Okay, here's our cow, and he is pretty big, but he will look great right there in the middle of this bag. Fresh milk, fresh cheese. It's a cow, not a bull, so we know we're not talking about meat. Several vegetarians in my family. Okay, there it goes. It's funny, it's a cow with horns, which some people don't realize that cows have horns too. Now there's there's fur on this cow, which is a lot of very, very fine detail, which is not going to come out as exact on this fabric, just because it's got the fabric has a lot of texture, and you won't be able to see all that fine detail. But you'll see the cow, and you'll know it's a cow. Okay, and then again, I'm just taking the little bit of ink that came that is on the margin, just so that my image doesn't look like it's smudged. And I don't know how much time you have after you stamp it till you can before your ink starts to dry, but I think it's pretty good. This tail, I want to make sure you see the tail and the feet. Didn't look as stamped. So here we go. Again, I'm just eyeing it. You can kind of tell where it would be. And we are going to take Bessie and just put her right there. You did notice she fell off of this a little bit because of this edge. Like I said, I really want to see the detail on the feet and the tail. And identify her as a cow, even though, like I said, she has horns. Oh, we did. Yeah, the detail is so fine on her face. You can't really see where her eye is, but you can see everything else. Hold you down, girl. Let's see how this end looks. We got that tail. By George, I think we got it. Okay, I'm gonna lift it up straight up. And there we go. Eat fresh shopping bag, ready to go to the store. Okay, so tune in for part 2A, where I do the